Now, it looks like Lil Peep might actually get justice. You might know what I'm referring to since I've covered this story in the past. It's still a developing story and case, and I wanted to give you an insight into what's going on. So yeah, let's talk about it. Now, this Lil Peep lawsuit, man, it's proceeding. You guys might know what this entire story is about since I've covered it extensively, but it starts with Lil Peep's mother, Liza Womack, who filed a lawsuit against Peep's old management in 2019. It was a lawsuit based on wrongful death and negligence claims against the management. Essentially, what Liza Womack was saying in this lawsuit was, these people, his old management, played a part in my son's death and they should be held accountable. Liza in this lawsuit was saying that his old management supplied him with drugs and encouraged him to take them. On one part of the complaint, she stated that in the 24 hours before Peep's untimely passing, he told them, his old management, that he didn't want to perform because he was feeling so physically unwell. They allegedly kept pushing him to perform despite that, and in the process gave him drugs to cope with that stress. So here we have a situation where his mother is adamant about the fact that they played a part in her son's death. And I remember how a lot of people looked at this lawsuit when it initially came out and said, this is a grieving mother, she's grasping at straws, God rest her son's soul, but how likely is it that even if this happened, they will be held accountable? I guess those people do have a point. How could Liza in this case prove that what she's claiming actually happened? Well, receipts, which Liza is coming with. Now, before we continue talking, let's talk about what happened recently. So earlier this month, there was a hearing in court for this case. I want to go through this article Rolling Stone wrote about it, so let's check that out. Lil Peep's mom scored a legal victory Wednesday when a judge upheld her negligence and wrongful death claims against her son's record label and the tour manager who was traveling with the emo rapper when he overdosed and died on a bus in Arizona 4 years ago. At a court hearing in Los Angeles, Judge Teresa A. Bode, I think that's how you say it, shot down label First Access Entertainment's request to dismiss the claims on the grounds that Liza Catherine Womack, the executor of her son's estate, failed to show any causal connection between First Acts Entertainment's alleged negligence and Peep's tragic demise from a deadly cocktail of fentanyl and Xanax. In her lengthy ruling, Judge Bode said that while she agreed with First Acts Entertainment that portions of a highly damaging statement from Peep's fellow musician Coldheart were inadmissible hearsay, the court's decision to strike sections of Coldheart's declaration Wednesday wasn't enough to gut the wrongful death lawsuit first filed by Womack in 2019. In his disputed declaration, Coldheart, a member of the emo rap collective Goth Boy Click, told the court that he was traveling alongside Peep for the rapper's Come Over When You're Sober tour from November 8, 2017 until the rapper's death on November 15, 2017. He claimed that throughout the duration, Belinda Mercer, by the way, Belinda Mercer is one of the people who's facing this lawsuit, right? Like the article says, she's the tour manager, but continuing, he claimed that throughout the duration, Belinda Mercer, the tour managers hired by First Acts Entertainment, provided and supplied Xanax, cocaine, marijuana, Percocet, and ketamine to those traveling on a tour bus. Judge Bode upheld those comments in a ruling Wednesday, but struck down a latter section of the statement in which Coldheart, whose legal name is Jared Quilisadio, claimed that on November 14, 2017, Peep's manager told the rapper he should make himself sick from taking a bunch of Xanax so he could trigger, the article quotes, an insurance claim and not lose money on a show he wanted to cancel. I'm gonna summarize everything after reading this next part, so bear with me. The article continues, the judge agreed with First Acts Entertainment that Quilisadio failed to state that he personally witnessed someone directing Peep to consume the excessive amount of Xanax. So just to summarize everything we just read, I know that was a lot, let's just summarize it. They had this hearing in court, okay, earlier this month, which ended up in Liza's favor. Now, why did it end up in her favor? Well, for the simple fact that the judge upheld this lawsuit that Liza filed. In simple terms, that just means that she's supporting Liza's case so they can continue with it. Now, Peep's old management, First Acts Entertainment, who are the ones facing this lawsuit, they actually try to get these claims that Liza made against them dismissed because in their words, she, or this case, failed to show causal connection between these allegations they have against them and Lil Peep's death. So the judge then had a decision to make, and in the end she sided with Liza. The name Coldheart came up in his article as well. Now Coldheart, if you guys don't know who that is, he's a member of Goth Boy Click, which is Lil Peep's collective. Coldheart, like we read on the article, told the court that when he was traveling with Lil Peep and was on tour with them in 2017, one of the tour managers who was hired by First Acts Entertainment, Belinda Mercer, she allegedly supplied everyone who was on the tour bus with Xans, coke, perks, ketamine, and weed. Cold Heart also made some other claims that ended up being not admissible in court. From the looks of it, First Acts Entertainment tried to get the case dismissed based on these claims that Cold Heart made. That didn't work because Liza came with the receipts. She provided a lot of valid points, which eventually led to the judge taking her side. So now that you got a little context to what's going on with Cold Heart and them trying to, dismiss the case, let's continue. But even without Cold Heart's full statement, Womack's negligence and wrongful death claims survived Wednesday because she provided other viable bases for the causes of action, including allegations that no one on the bus was trained to recognize the signs of an overdose, and that the bus was not equipped with a defibrillator, Narcan, or any other life-saving apparatuses used for drug overdose, and that no one on the bus rendered Peep life-saving aid, the judge ruled. Now this is pretty critical information, and what I just read is some of the more valid claims that Liza made. Essentially, she was saying they were not prepared to handle the worst possible outcome. In this case, if someone on the bus overdosed, which that ended up happening. Liza also added that they should have had something like Narcan on a tour bus, which if you guys don't know what that is, Narcan is a medication that's used in the emergency of an overdose. What it does is it reverses the effects of opioids. So if someone is having an overdose, if it's used in a timely manner, it could literally save their life. Continuing, by the way, this is what the judge had to say about that. There's no question there's a triable issue as to whether Mercer provided the drugs or not. Judge Baudet said during the afternoon hearing, if you're going to create an environment like that where drugs are flowing and you're providing it, and hey, you actually don't have any life-saving device or any Narcan to help people who are going to have a problem with these drugs, it seems to me you are creating a very dangerous situation there. The article continues. She said that while there's actually no evidence Mercer provided any fentanyl, the rapper, in this case Lil Peep, somehow got fentanyl, and it could take a jury to decide whether Mercer unknowingly supplied a drug that might be laced with fentanyl. I'm not saying that's what happened, the judge says, but that's what Womack alleges. The fact that the defendants didn't give the decedent, that's someone who's passed, so Lil Peep, adequate protection for that environment, I think that could add up to causation here. Now, what the judge said right there is a pretty big deal in this case. She's keeping an open mind to the fact that Peep's old management could potentially be held liable for playing a part in his death. This is of course an ongoing case, so nothing is set in stone, keep that in mind, but that's pretty major. Now that's only been the case because Liza is staying on top of it, by the way. It seems like she has all of her ducks in a row. The picture Liza is painting is, my son didn't pass for no reason. He passed because he was surrounded by these people who not only encouraged him to consume the drugs that killed him, they also supplied him with those drugs. One thing a lot of people have brought up in relation to this lawsuit is this. Lil Peep was the one who took the drugs that led to his untimely passing. With that being said, how much weight does this lawsuit actually hold given that information? So a lot of people have said Lil Peep was the one who took the drugs. Throw this lawsuit away. Personally, I don't think it's as simple as that, and I'm pretty sure Liza knows it's not as simple as that. But here's the thing, and this is what I really think about this lawsuit. If the music industry never gets held accountable for the destructive environment it provides for these artists, more artists will keep on dying in vain. Now, why do I say that? Well, for the simple fact that there's way too many pitfalls for a young artist in the music industry who is successful, has a lot of money, and has reach. One of the biggest pitfalls being drugs. These drugs have taken away a lot of our artists, man. It hurts to see that our artists are being taken away as a result of what these drugs can do to the human body, especially in excessive amounts. This is when we get into the whole addiction conversation, which I don't want to get too much into, but what I do want to say is this: your environment plays a huge part in one's addiction. For a young artist in the music industry like the late Lil Peep, this lawsuit is alleging that his environment was a very dysfunctional one that promoted his drug habit, and someone should be held liable for that. Lil Peep aside, some of your favorite artists, the guys who you listen to on the daily, a lot of them are in a very destructive environment as we speak, but we don't even know it. That's one thing about the industry, man. If you're young, you got all this money and power, best believe you'll have some folks coming around you trying to supply you with the finest of drugs, and whether it be your management like Liza is alleging in this lawsuit, or whether it be the industry people you surround yourself with on a daily, you'll get offered drugs. Whether you take those drugs, it's up to the artist, absolutely, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the environment they're in. A lot of our favorite rappers are not surrounded by loving people who want them to do good and take their career to the next level. A lot of our favorite rappers are actually surrounded by leeches who want them to get hooked on pills and lean so they can take advantage of them. To all my artists out there, big or small, I don't care what level you're at, but if you're trying to make it in this shit, you gotta be cognizant of what people are speaking into your ear. I don't know how cognizant Peep was, doesn't matter now, but just having that awareness goes a long way. I think it's especially important in the music industry because it is the kind of business where you could literally skyrocket overnight, and then boom, before you know it, you're in a room with people you could only dream about being in a room with. Everything ain't glitz and glamour though, because having that kind of reach comes with its dark side. That dark side being drugs. It is a huge part of the industry, and best believe there's a lot of people who want you to get hooked on these drugs because they have an agenda of their own. So this Lil Peep lawsuit, man, it's a conversation that goes way beyond just what you're seeing on the surface, which is why I can talk about this topic with great depth. Regardless of what the outcome of this lawsuit is, I think we're going to be seeing more of these types of cases in the future. I think Liza is doing some important work here. She's not making this just about her son, she's making this about creating a healthy ecosystem for artists in the music industry to thrive in. That aside, the trial for this case has been set to March 2023, and I guess we'll see what happens then. But yeah, justice for Lil Peep looks like it might be served after all. The wrongful death and negligence lawsuit Lil Peep's mother filed against his old management in 2019 is proceeding. Liza is coming with the receipts and she's adamant to get justice. Any thoughts on this entire conversation and case? Definitely let me know in the comment section below, and let's have a discussion about this.